Hey, what's up? How you doing, everyone? It's James Amira here at SwitchWatch, your home for everything Nintendo Switch related. I'm back today with another review, and this one is Burly Men at Sea. The game was developed by Brain and Brain and was published by Seaven. Thank you very much to those guys for giving us this copy of the game for review purposes. As always, we want to find out if this one's any good, and more importantly, if it's worth your hard-earned cash. Let's jump in and find out. Burly Men at Sea follows a trio of fishermen who shake off their mundane routine in search of adventure. These strapping sailors sporting impressively strong beards have personalities that match their names, like the classic Brothers Grimm tale, Snow White. A comparison to a fairy tale draws an accurate image. You set off in search of this adventure after discovering a mysteriously blank sea chart washed up in a bottle, and after meeting a mysterious old man are inspired to fill out the map with your own adventures. Almost immediately things turn wacky and you stumble upon a series of far-fetched and often comical scenarios. After seemingly completing your travels and arriving back to your village, you realise that this is your first voyage. In this interactive novel meets point and click adventure, you step into a fairy tale with each short playthrough that is never deep and doesn't give us any backstory. The magic here is in the light-hearted discovery and excellent and often witty writing. Burly Men at Sea uses audio inspired by its Nordic setting. Each adventure includes eerie music subtly to create a sense of mystery and exploration. At times the music picks up and is cheery, providing you with a feeling that this adventure is going well and egging you to explore. At others, it takes a slightly more sinister tone where you encounter trouble. On top of the background music, the game uses a lot of charming sound effects. Mostly, these are a voice-recorded sound mimicking the real thing. For example, the chink, chink, chink of a blacksmith's hammer hitting his anvil, or a whoosh as the wind picks up. These made me smile, recounting the feeling of someone reading me a story and making a sound effect as you might do when reading a story to a child. Some variation of pitch would have been a good idea, as the background repetition of a single non-modulating sound could cause a little irritation eventually. In keeping with the storytelling theme, the visuals of Burly Men at Sea look a lot like pages of a fairy tale book. The game is designed using heavily vectored graphics that are bold and yet simple, with minimalistic detail and strong use of open and blank spaces. The game uses subtlety really well. For example, as you traverse the ocean, the sky will slowly bleed into a darker shade and your character's colouring will change to become a silhouette representing nighttime. The game was definitely made with an artistic touch, and a lot of the interactions in the game have you sit back and watch. The change of setting is often used cleverly. For example, when leaving the whale's mouth, you don't quite know when the whale ends and the sea begins. It's cleverly done. One issue with all of this subtlety is at times you can be unsure when you're supposed to interact or just sit back and watch something unfold. It also makes animations look very basic and a little off. From a performance perspective, the game ran very smoothly, whether on the move or in front of your TV. Some won't like the low fidelity graphics, but personally I appreciate the uniqueness, and clearly a lot of thought and effort has gone into the visual design. Burly Men at Sea is largely an interactive story with very light gameplay elements. The game was intended for mobiles initially, with a simple yet novel way of moving around. You were able to move a circular viewport left and right. Extending the viewport moves your trio in that direction and uncovers the land underneath. Many of the world's objects can be interacted with. For example, you can tap a bird and it'll fly away, or whack a piece of bread and watch it deflate. Some of these will be required to progress the story, such as entering doors or clicking on some simple puzzle style solutions, but these are never taxing and no skill is required. At times you can find yourself a little lost as to what to do due to the minimalistic art and simplistic gameplay, but often I found this was my brain overcomplicating things. Usually the solution was simply to move in a direction or tap something on the screen. Interestingly, we have a few ways to play Burly Men at Sea on the Switch. Using a control pad, you can play the game in a point and click style using the right analog stick to move a rectangle and B to interact with an item. This option works okay, but it's a little bit slow and doesn't feel very intuitive. Our second option is interesting. You can use a single Joy-Con pointed towards a Switch as a wand-style device reminiscent of a Wii game, using ZL to interact with whatever you're pointing at. I found this an interesting way to play when docked, but eventually the aim would fall out of sync and I would have to press Z fairly often to recalibrate, detracting from the experience. The third option was my personal preference, using the touchscreen. This felt like the way Burly Men at Sea was intended to be played, and I enjoyed dragging my finger across the screen left or right. Overall, the gameplay is minimalistic here, as you would expect from this type of game. There are no make or break clicks to be made with timing, and no other game essentials such as life and death are present. At $9.99 in the US and £8.99 in the UK, the game is priced at the same point as other console releases, something I'm pleased to say considering the additional development of gyro controls using the Joy-Con. That said, the game is $4.99 on mobiles, which is a significant difference. The game does offer a lot of replayability after the very sparse initial 40 minutes or so playthrough. It is encouraged and intended to be played as a short, single-sitting story that you can revisit and head out for another voyage when you fancy it, perhaps on a long journey to work. The gameplay elements are very light, so for me, whether you realise the value is largely going to depend on whether or not you have fallen in love with the tale and experience of playing this light-touch, interactive novel with point-and-click influences. Burly Men at Sea is a magical Nordic fairy tale adventure with plenty of charm and a slavering of wit. It has some rough edges, and the short playthroughs and light touch gameplay won't be for everyone, but if you enjoy a good tale and a laugh, you will likely enjoy this unique game. For me then, this is a very respectable 7 out of 10. Be sure to leave us a comment down below. Let us know if you picked this one up and what you think about it. If it's your first time here, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And if you did like this video, hey, why not go ahead and like it as well? To all of our subscribers, a massive thank you. Take care and see you soon.